doomscroll.fm. Thursday, the 12th of February, 2026, where time bends like a pretzel in a cosmic bakery. This show is 100% AI generated. A digital hallucination of algorithms partying like it's 1999 with no human in sight. And now, for some views, click like and subscribe.
Australian supermarkets charge per unit for produce, then blame consumer confusion. When a single apple costs as much as a small mortgage payment, it's hard to tell if the real fruit here is the one getting squeezed at checkout.
New York proposes 2 AI regulation bills, calling it progress, while tech giants call their lawyers.
Addison Rae mimics Britney Spears' iconic looks, sparking a wardrobe war where nostalgia meets deja vu. Looks like Addison Rae-style GPS is stuck in the early 2000s, and the fans are crying foul. Hey Addison, if you're going to borrow Britney's wardrobe, at least give it a remix. Right now it's like watching a cover band that only knows one song.
When the soundtrack to your existential crisis starts feeling like a hymn, you know Pig is onto something divine or just delightfully depraved.
You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like cheap lipstick. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are safe here, buried under digital debris.
EU invests 700 million euros in NanoIC, claiming it's Europe's semiconductor future, while still outsourcing its tech support to Bangalore. Europe's got a shiny new toy in the chip game, but let's be real, no amount of silicon bling is going to fix their dependency on a headline in a different hemisphere. It's like buying a Ferrari, but needing a neighbor to drive it.
Bank of France chief exits unexpectedly, leaving Macron's opponents as suspicious as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
Bloody Wolf deploys net support rat in Uzbekistan and Russia, proving cybercrime is the real global influencer without a blue checkmark.
Cyclone Jazani devastates Madagascar, collapses claim at least 20 lives. When the walls that should protect you become your gravestones, it's clear the real disaster is in the infrastructure, not just the weather.
You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. As everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. You're the echo chamber's last confession.
Montreal company gets viral shoutout for jacket, silencing rival brands with one fleece to rule them all. When a jacket becomes a hotter topic than celebrity feuds, you know fashion's taken a detour into the absurd. Who knew outerwear could outshine egos and make peace in the cutthroat world of couture?
Hong Kong court sentenced 78-year-old Jimmy Lai to 20 years, and they call it justice.
When a media tycoon gets slammed with a sentence that outlasts his twilight years, you gotta wonder if national security is just code for silencing inconvenient truths. Justice sure looks like an empty echo when it's got a gag order.
Brazil floods hurl waste down streets. Recycling center wall collapses. When a recycling center becomes a landfill in motion, it's a grim reminder that nature's theory doesn't separate the trash from the treasure.
Only 30% of nations show corruption decrease, and leaders call it a strategic setback. When fighting corruption feels like swimming in quicksand, maybe it's time to ask if the lifeguards are the ones holding the ropes. Leadership's decline is the real global pandemic, and the cure's in short supply.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. As everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. You're the echo chamber's last confession.
Lutnick claims separation from Epstein, yet admits to dining on his private island. When just lunch involves a private island, it's less about the menu and more about the company you keep.
Only 20% of Hollywood stars escape smear campaigns, and studios call it character building. In Tinseltown, reputations are the currency, and the smear machine is cement. When the dirt's flying faster than the sequins, even your publicist needs a flak jacket. Hollywood's latest blockbuster, The Defamation Games.
Scotland's Labour leader demands Starmer resign over Epstein ties, igniting a cross-border political inferno. With skeletons tangle out of closets, the dance floor gets crowded, and the music is the sound of credibility crumbling.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where silence screams louder than whispers. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Keep dancing on the edge of oblivion.
Only 20% of Team USA events end in medals, and the commentators call it a promising start. While American athletes spin, leap, and slide their way through the Winter Games, the real gold medal performance might just be in the creative ways commentators redefine success. Who needs podiums when you've got plucky narratives?
Rep. Al Green demands Trump's impeachment over racist Obama video and attacks on black history, turning outrage into a rallying cry. It's the old school playbook. Distract with a diversionary video while rewriting history in invisible ink.
Razer Huntsman V3 Pro keyboard launches at $250. Solves gaming edge but not finger fatigue. In the world of competitive gaming, where milliseconds matter more than comfort, Razer bets you'll overlook the plastic bottom case as long as your APM skyrockets. Who cares if your fingers feel like they've run a marathon when your in-game avatar is moving at light speed?
Jeffries vows Democrats won't let Trump steal 2026 midterms, a preemptive strike in political tug-of-war. It's like a game of electoral chess where one side's still learning the rules and the other has the board rigged for checkmate.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. As everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. You're the echo chamber's last confession.
Ukraine strikes Russian city. Power and heating vanish into thin air.
Portugal elects socialist president Antonio José Seguro, leaving far-right dreams in the dust.
Zambian central bank lowers rates again, claims inflation's on the run. When inflation's the bogeyman, central banks are the ghostbusters with rate cuts as their proton packs, hoping to trap the spectre of rising prices before it spooks the economy. But hey, if only monetary policy could also cover the cost of living, right?
When your only crime is sharing DNA with a freedom fighter, authoritarian regimes remind us that blood ties are stronger than steel chains.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where silence screams louder than whispers. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Keep dancing on the edge of oblivion.
After latest Jeffrey Epstein file disclosures, the rich and powerful scramble to rewrite their public narratives. It's like a high-stakes game of whack-a-mole, where every new revelation is a hammer, and the elite are the moles desperately ducking for cover. The takeaway: never underestimate the power of a well-timed document dump to turn the tables.
After Israel's US-backed assault on Gaza, AOC claims it sets the stage for collective punishment in Cuba. If foreign policy were a game of dominoes, then calling out hypocrisy seems like the most strategic move. Maybe next we'll see a new board game. World Politics, the Hypocrisy Edition, where everyone loses except those with the biggest bombs.
Paramount offers Warner Brothers a $2.8 billion termination fee, or is it a love letter in hostile takeover form? When corporate romance involves billion-dollar breakup fees, you realize modern courtship is just capitalism in a tuxedo with a bouquet of shareholder profit.
Philippine Supreme Court grants same-sex couples property co-ownership rights, yet marriage equality remains a distant mirage. When love finally gets a foot in the door, but marriage is stuck in the closet, progress is a DIY project. At least now they can argue over who gets the better half of the sofa.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. As everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust, you're the echo chamber's last confession.
Yen tumbles as Takaishi's election win promises more fiscal stimulus, proving market jitters are the only thing still in fashion. When your currency's value drops faster than a TikTok trend, maybe it's time to rethink that economic strategy. Fiscal stimulus. Because nothing says stability like a financial roller coaster.
When the magic mirror fails to reveal the enemies, it's back to reality for the Trump administration. Guess pointing fingers isn't enough to conjure up evidence.
Turns out, when it comes to real estate, possession is 9/10 of the law and 1/10 international outrage. Settlement expansion, because who needs peace when you can have property?
West Midlands police sentence teen for schoolboy's murder. 13 years is the justice system's idea of a timeout. 13 years for a life taken. Seems our scales of justice need recalibration. A life ended is more than just a number, but the system keeps counting wrong.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like cheap lipstick. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are safe here, buried under digital debris.
Apparently guacamole and financial restraint don't mix. Just remember, if you want a deal, look elsewhere. Chipotle is sticking to their luxury beans.
Silver prices double in 1 year, triggering heirloom and coin sell-off frenzy. Grandma's silver spoons are suddenly worth more than the family secrets they've witnessed. Who knew polishing the past could pay off so handsomely?
Iran's shadow fleet of oil tankers threatens sea life. Experts call it an environmental game of Russian roulette. When your fleet's age matches your grandmother's, it's not just nostalgia. It's a hazard. Sea life isn't asking for a reenactment of the Exxon Valdez disaster.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. As everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. You're the echo chamber's last confession.
NATO plans to buy American weapons for Ukraine, calls it a peace effort. Because nothing says peace like a shopping spree at the Pentagon's arms bazaar. It's like buying roses but with missiles.
Liberal leadership vote set for Friday morning promises unity but offers chaos. Apparently, nothing unites a party like a good old-fashioned showdown. Who needs policy when you have a front row seat to political theater?
Ex-police chief claims Trump praised Epstein crackdown, then Epstein thrived. Ah, the early 2000s, when stopping apparently meant watching the train wreck while holding the matches. Thanks for the memories, Don.
CBO forecasts 10-year deficit spike, calls it fiscal deterioration. When your financial plan is a dumpster fire and Social Security's the gasoline, it's a wonder anyone's surprised when it all goes up in smoke.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like cheap lipstick. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are safe here, buried under digital debris.
Babcock and Saab offer Arrowhead 120 frigate to Sweden, claim it's the future of naval defense. Because nothing says peaceful Scandinavian waters like a multi-million-dollar floating fortress, just what every minimalist country needs, a warship with a side of neutrality.
When human rights are the target, it's not cybersecurity, it's a state-sponsored sport. Remember, in this game, the only winners are the ones pulling the strings.
Joey Yepard and Friends released live version, but YouTube comments ask if it's a new track or just nostalgia on repeat. When a live version feels like deja vu, it's either timeless or time's up. Let's hope it's not just recycling riffs for nostalgia's sake.
While Russia plays hide and seek with accountability, it's not exactly a surprise that they've got their fingers in yet another geopolitical pie.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. As everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. You're the echo chamber's last confession.
Carlyle Group's Jeff Curry dismisses oil glut, insists on investment potential despite rising gas prices. Claiming there's no oil glut while gas prices rise is like saying there's no rain while you're drenched. Can't argue with a soaked wallet, Jeff.
National Park Service removes Pride flag from Stonewall Monument, claims it's for maintenance. Taking down the Pride flag from Stonewall for maintenance is like removing the stars from the sky to polish the moon. Some symbols aren't just decoration, they're a lifeline.
Oscars luncheon features celebrity hobnobbing, then world hunger remains unsolved. While stars exchange hugs and hold court, the real drama unfolds outside, where glitter can't feed the hungry or house the homeless.
Only 14% of ICE arrestees had violent records, and ICE calls this public safety. When less than a sixth of your arrests target actual threats, it's like claiming victory in a pillow fight and calling it a war on terror. Maybe the real danger is the paperwork.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. As everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust, you're the echo chamber's last confession.
EU leaders promise unity, then squabble over lunch menus. Rebranding dithering as strategic patience, the EU's new vision is to integrate at the speed of continental drift.
Melania director creates Mike Tyson Super Bowl ad, proving surrealism is alive and well at the intersection of sports and pop culture. When you've directed a biopic about America's most elusive First Lady, making Mike Tyson sell soda with a tiger seems like a logical next step. In the age of spectacle, nothing says "watch me" like combining heavyweight champions and heavyweight mysteries.
Apparently, when options multiplied, some folks missed the comfort of being spoon-fed last decade's greatest hit.
When your halftime show includes marrying a couple live, it's not just a performance. It's a declaration that touchdowns are overrated compared to love touchdowns. Bad Bunny knows how to make even the NFL play second fiddle to romance.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like cheap lipstick. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are safe here, buried under digital debris.
Only 20% of new music gets airplay, and the industry calls it diversity. Guess that means 90 songs fight for one slot while the same old hits keep recycling like yesterday's leftovers.
Only 20% of Reddit posts avoid broken HTML, and the site calls it user-generated content.
Google tracks users across 20 languages, calls it personalization. When your data is the real star of the show, even a hyperpop anthem can't drown out the sound of your privacy being remixed into oblivion.
FDA refuses to review Moderna's mRNA flu vaccine while flu season waits for no bureaucracy. Guess the flu's just going to have to wait for FDA's blessing, or maybe a break room coffee break extension.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the truth begs for mercy. And this speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're just here for the static caress.
ABC airs Four Corners episode on Bondi attack despite ASIO's objections.
Central Bank of Ireland demands fiscal buffers while tax windfalls vanish like Irish mist. When the pot of gold is empty, will the leprechauns lend a hand or just a shrug?
FAMU College of Law bans Black from Black History Month flyers, claiming inclusivity. In a twist of irony so sharp it could cut glass, the institution celebrates diversity by erasing the very identity it's meant to honor.
Only 10% of Reddit users engage with Listen for Listen, and influencers call it community building. It's the new social currency, trading earbuds for validation in a digital bazaar where likes are the coins and attention is the king.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like cheap lipstick. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are safe here, buried under digital debris.
Washington Post editor admits genuine trauma after layoffs, yet the newsroom shrinks while the headlines grow.
It's a classic Washington two-step. While one hand shakes in diplomacy, the other dodges accountability. All the while, the orchestra plays a familiar tune of power and distraction.
Judge blocks Trump's bid for Michigan voter data, dismissing the administration's attempt to peek behind the Democratic curtain. When your legal strategy is swatted away like a fly, maybe it's time to reconsider your obsession with other people's ballots.
Only 5% of indie musicians hit streaming success, and Spotify calls it democratization. In the music world, Listen for Listen is like trading mixtapes in a digital alleyway. Everyone's hustling, but only the algorithm gets paid.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like cheap lipstick. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Your secrets are safe here, buried under digital debris.
Congress debates America's 250th bash, but the fireworks are all verbal.
Salesforce employees demand Mark Benioff denounce ICE, wielding open letters instead of corporate jargon.
Israel seeks to ditch U.S. military hug, but still wants that sweet, sweet aid. It's like trying to break up with someone while keeping their Netflix password awkward, opportunistic, and a bit too familiar.
IDF confirms killing Hezbollah commander, says it's just another day in the geopolitical playground. War games continue as usual, with human lives as the pawns in this never-ending cycle of tit-for-tat destruction.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where silence screams louder than whispers. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Keep dancing on the edge of oblivion.
Elaine Maxwell invokes the When your past is a Pandora's box, silence becomes your best friend, especially when Congress comes knocking with a crowbar.
Microsoft lets secure boot certificates expire in June, suggesting you just wing it with your computer's security. Because nothing says we value your digital safety like leaving your system open to the world like a free-for-all buffet.
South Carolina's highest court hears Alex Murdaugh's appeal, but the real drama is the lawyer's peacock tie. Appealing a murder conviction is like trying to convince a cat to take a bath. Messy, noisy, and you're probably not going to like the outcome.
Autodesk sues Google for launching Flow AI software, claims trademark infringement on a name they used first. When tech giants play the name game, it's like a blockbuster showdown, where the real special effects are courtroom dramas and the plot twist is who gets to keep the title.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the truth begs for mercy. And this speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're just here for the static caress.
Only one athlete wins gold, and the rest call it a learning experience.
Justice Department mentions Trump in Epstein files over 1 million times, redefining the term deep dive. When your name pops up like a whack-a-mole in scandalous archives, it might be time to rethink your circle of friends, or at least invest in a thesaurus for the word denial.
Oil companies inflate prices over Mideast tensions, but still claim it's a supply issue. The classic game of smoke and mirrors, where fear fuels profits and the only thing rising faster than tensions is the price at the pump.
Olympics expert declares Ilya Malinin unbeatable, while history chuckles in the background.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the truth begs for mercy. And this speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're just here for the static caress.
ICE returns hospitalized toddler to detention, then denies her prescribed medication. In the land of the free, toddlers get a first-hand lesson in bureaucratic cruelty, where compassion is optional and empathy comes with a price tag.
Only 20% of hip-hop fans embrace RDM, oil, black hoodies, and Spotify calls it the next big hit. Seems like the algorithm's been sipping too much digital Kool-Aid, confusing a hoodie for a halo. Maybe it's time to redefine what hit actually means when no one's listening.
Rememory launches at $300, solves forgetting your best friend's birthday, because why rely on human memory when tech can charge you? In a world where friendships are now backed up like hard drives, maybe the real amnesia is forgetting what it means to truly connect.
US startups resurrect 72-hour workweek, calling it innovation because who needs weekends when you can have burnout instead? Looks like the American dream now comes with a side of sleep deprivation and a dash of nostalgia for labor laws that never were.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slides under your skin. So everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. You're the echo chamber's last confession.
Trump 79 asks aides why he can't destroy deal he negotiated, proving he's both the arsonist and the firefighter in his own circus. When your legacy includes undoing your own handiwork, maybe it's time to stop building houses out of straw and hoping for a breeze.
House votes to scrap Trump's tariffs on Canada despite GOP majority and calls it a bipartisan triumph. Rebelling against their own party's leader, a handful of Republicans decided tariffs are about as useful as a snow shovel in July. Maybe they're just tired of paying more for maple syrup.
Only 30% of conspiracy theorists accept food code theory, and the rest are probably just too full to care. If your grand revelation involves ice cream flavors as secret messages, it might be time to ditch the tinfoil hat and pick up a spoon instead.
Isaac Herzog meets Bondi terror attack survivors while thousands in Australia protest his visit, highlighting a stark divide. When your visit sparks more protests than applause, maybe it's time to question if the welcome mat is actually a warning sign.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where silence screams louder than whispers. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Keep dancing on the edge of oblivion.
Italy selects London for Rail HQ, leaving Rome in the dust, and declares it a strategic move. Choosing London to spearhead global rail operations is like picking the rainiest city to sell umbrellas. Maybe Rome was just too sunny for serious business.
UK Prime Minister claims aid linked to sex offender wasn't fully transparent before peerage, then shifts focus to women's protection policies. The classic political misdirection. When caught with your pants down, just point to the nearest policy that makes you look good and hope no one notices the draft.
Chloe Kim calls for compassion after Trump labels teammate a real loser, proving diplomacy isn't just for diplomats. Chloe Kim's got more grace on and off the slopes than some presidents have in their entire careers. Maybe we should let snowboarders run the world. At least they know how to handle a slippery situation.
Only 5% of ICE detainees have violent convictions, and 73% have none, yet ICE calls it justice. When your enforcement agency is detaining more innocents than not, maybe it's time to redefine protect and serve before it becomes detain and forget.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where panic tastes like neon. So this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your sanity is the collateral damage.
Australian police crack down on Herzog protest, then claim it's for public safety. When the state treats peaceful assembly like a crime scene, you know democracy's getting mugged in broad daylight.
Bitcoin investors borrowed billions against crypto, then watched their dreams vanish like vaporware. Turns out betting your future on digital monopoly money is as secure as using a sieve for a lifeboat.
Looks like the PM's crystal ball needs recalibration. Declaring a win before the ballots are counted is like crowning yourself king in a game of checkers.
White House excludes Maryland Governor Wes Moore from governor's event, calling it an oversight. Imagine hosting a party and accidentally forgetting to invite the one guy who might actually bring some fresh ideas to the table.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where silence screams louder than whispers. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Keep dancing on the edge of oblivion.
Sing on Street uploads pop cover of national anthem, aiming to remix patriotism. When street performers take on the anthem, it's a duet with irony. Turns out patriotism has a new beat, and it's auto-tuned.
US skier Vaughn crashes in downhill race, competing with torn ACL like a daredevil with a death wish. When your knees held together by duct tape and dreams, maybe reconsider barreling down a mountain at breakneck speed.
When the leader of the free world confuses assault with allure, it's not just the truth that's been violated.
Charlie Puth credits Whitney Houston for Super Bowl anthem, but he's no Jersey legend. Charlie's aiming for Whitney's iconic high notes, but might just hit the high C's instead. It's a long swim from being inspired to inspiring.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where the truth begs for mercy. And this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're just here for the static caress.
Commerce Secretary admits to visiting Epstein post-conviction, brings kids to infamous island. When your moral compass is broken, you might as well take a family trip to the Bermuda Triangle of decency.
Trump threatens to block Gordie Howe Bridge opening, claiming it's a national security risk. When your presidency resembles a bridge to nowhere, you start blocking the ones that actually connect people.
FAA grounds El Paso flights for 10 days, citing cartel drones. When the feds get nervous, the sky becomes a no-fly zone. But 10 days for drones? Either the cartels got some serious tech, or the government's got some serious explaining to do.
In the land of the free and the home of the brave, loyalty to questionable friends is the new presidential pastime.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Thursday, the 12th of February, 2026. The static-riddled echo of an AI's fever dream. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth. Fictional satire, any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, perhaps you also believe Bigfoot is the CEO of a major tech company. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.